everybody. It's your girl, Rochelle, the Hardwood Diva. You like my shirt? Yay! All right, and so I'm coming to you today, Saturday, October 23rd, and we're going to go ahead and talk about this week's NFL picks, week 7. So let's go ahead and get into it. First up, we've got Cincinnati versus Atlanta. Now, Cincinnati's not exactly where many had thought they would be, especially with the acquisition of T.O. However, I still think they're doing pretty well. Atlanta, it's been kind of up and down. They lose a weird game, win a totally unexpected one. So this should be interesting. Right now, I still am kind of thinking the the AFC is a little bit stronger than the NFC. So I'm going to have to go with Cincinnati to win this game, but who knows? This has been a ridiculously odd season as far as wins and losses. So who knows wins? It's honestly a toss-up personally. I think Atlanta could win. I think Cincinnati could win, but I'm going to go with Cincinnati doing it this week. Then we've got Pitt versus Miami. Now, Miami's done pretty well, however, not as well on at home, but I don't think they beat Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's on a roll right now. Even with Ben Roethlisberger, they've gotten even better. Defense is crazy, even though James Harrison complained about his fine last week and threatened to retire. I'll talk about how I feel about that in a different conversation. But I think Pittsburgh has definitely got this one. Buffalo and Baltimore. The Bills don't have any chance versus Baltimore personally. I mean, they're doing better than I expected them to do, but they're still not going to beat Baltimore. That's just how it goes. Then we've got Jacksonville versus Kansas City. I'm not really sure what's going on with Jacksonville right now. I mean, they've got Mercedes Lewis doing really well. Garrard is doing, I don't know, up and down. They've had decent games, but that game versus Tennessee was embarrassing. And Kansas City, I think, is doing really well. They're doing a lot better than many expected them to do this season. And even with a loss last week, I think they can get this. So I think that Kansas City might win this one, especially since they're at home. Cleveland versus New Orleans. Only thing about this Cleveland-New Orleans game that's personally interesting is that their quarterback situation is kind of still just a little bit all over the place. Luckily, Colt McCoy gets to start again this week. But I don't think he's going to be able to keep up with the high-powered offense of NO, even without adequate running backs right now. I still think New Orleans can get this one. Now, Washington versus Chicago. This is one I'm kind of on the fence about because Chicago has done pretty well in the beginning of the season. They've had a couple of interesting losses. However, I still think they're a pretty good team. Washington has won a lot of games, quite a few games that no one expected them to win. So this is kind of like, I don't know. But they're in Chicago. Even though Donovan McNabb is my fantasy football quarterback, I'm going to have to go with Chicago on this one. Honestly, if you could see this thing, you could see I don't know if you can see that. Move it over. I don't even have a pick for them. Whatever. Yeah, there it goes. Nothing. Washington, Chicago, nothing. Didn't have anything. So I don't know. We're going with Chicago though. We'll see what happens. Next up, we've got San Francisco and Carolina. Yay! San Francisco finally got a win, and I picked it. I'm so excited, even though it was versus the Raiders. They still won, so that's a good thing. Now we've got San Francisco versus Carolina. Personally, this is another chance for them to go ahead and get out there and get something done because Carolina's not an amazing team. And I do think San Francisco still has the team, the core to get this done. So I'm going to go ahead and go with San Francisco again. Let's make it 2-5. Come on, guys, please. St. Louis versus Tampa Bay. St. Louis is not doing very bad. I mean, I know they're not winning lots of games, but I really do see some improvement. I mean, this is a team that, it could do well. Sam Bradford is actually proving himself. He's showing himself to be one of those quarterbacks, one of those guys that's going to be in the league for a while personally. Still not as tested as he should be. I mean, still his first year, but I definitely think this could be it for him. We might see something good. Tampa Bay's playing pretty well. So, my decision on this one, another one I didn't have a pick for just yet because I was still kind of trying to consider everything. But I'm going to go with Tampa Bay. I'll say Tampa Bay is doing well enough they'll be able to get this game. Philadelphia versus Tennessee. Tennessee played pretty well versus Jacksonville. Philadelphia, though, is doing very good under Kevin Cole. But yes, there is a quarterback controversy. I know no one wants to speak about it, but let's honestly be real. If I like Andy Reid said, if I were him, I'd be pretty happy to be in this position to have two quarterbacks that are doing well. I know it's not college, but I personally think that you might be able to tailor the game towards the quarterback. So depending on what teams you're playing, maybe you can use a specific quarterback. This might work for them at least during this season. Won't work next season. You're going to have to do something about it then. But maybe this season, them being so competitive, it might be able to work. So I'd say go ahead and try it out. But for this one, I'm going to go with Philadelphia. They're playing pretty well. This is a good team. Arizona versus Seattle. I'm going to go with Seattle. Arizona, I don't know about them. And Seattle has a very, very good defense. They proved themselves last week, so I'm going to have to go with Seattle. They beat Chicago, so I say they can beat Arizona. NE versus San Diego. This is always an interesting matchup. These two teams do not like each other. And I'm going to have to go with, personally, San Diego. I think they can get it at home. New England is kind of on the border. They're doing okay. You know, they've done okay without Randy Moss, but I just don't see how it's going to work this weekend. I just think San Diego can get it. Then we've got Oakland and Denver. Tim Tebow played last week. That was interesting. And he got a touchdown. Good job, Tim Tebow. I'm not a fan of him as a quarterback personally. I know a lot of people love him, but I don't see him as an NFL quarterback. But, you know, hey, prove me wrong, I guess, right? But I'm going with Denver in this one. Oakland, sorry. Minnesota versus Green Bay. Though this was a really great matchup, it still is a good matchup just because of the Brett Favre, Green Bay, back in his, old stomping grounds, and Aaron Rodgers and all of that. I really do think that Minnesota is going to get this one because Green Bay is just so depleted right now. They've had injury after injury after injury. So I think that Minnesota gets this one. Then we've got the inevitable New York Giants versus Dallas. My Cowboys. They've hurt my feelings. Went to Dallas, saw Cowboys Stadium. It was amazing. I posted pics. You should check them out. Giants are flying under the radar. But I think that Dallas has to get this one, so I think they will. In the actual very unsettling NFC East, they're not so horribly off track that I think they could maybe get in the playoffs. Maybe they won't win the division. Still seeing that as being any of the other three teams. Most likely Philly or the Giants, in my opinion. But I see Dallas possibly being able to make the playoffs. Cross my fingers. Okay, so those are my picks for NFL Week 7. If you've got anything to say, you've got any questions, you want to go up against me in this, hey, bring it on. So hit me up, Rochelle at hardwooddiva.com, and I will holler at you guys later. Deuces.